Hey, how's it going, everybody? So, this is sort of a different video, a different vlog, if you will. It's not an all-in, because, as you can see, we're sort of uploading on a weird day of the week. So, I'm going to call this the New Year's video. So, what we're going to do here is do sort of a recap of rock albums that came out in 2024. And I might not cover all of them, but I'll cover a good bit of them. And this kind of spans not just like bands of the day, but like just any rock band. It could range from like a current rock band to, shoot, there's one even that goes all the way back to the 60s. But we'll sort of give like a little overview of all these albums here that I've been listening to this year. And I gotta take a drink here. Yes, we did review this one. I gotta give a shout out to Zachy. He recommended that I get a ring light for the camera so the lighting's a little better in here, and I don't know, let me know how it looks this time. So, anyhow, let's get started. So, starting off, we got a band from the 90s. We got Green Day, and they released their album Saviors, and about a 15-track album, and they really went back to the old school on the sound here. Sort of a cross between Dookie and American Idiot and 21st Century Breakdown. Like, those right there, I think, are like their best three albums. And they kind of rolled it into one on this album. So, like, they started off with The American Dream Is Killing Me. Kind of has that pop punky sound to it. Then you got Look Ma, I Ain't Got No Brains. They got a song called One-Eyed Bastard. But yeah, I definitely recommend checking it out if you like, you know, vintage Green Day. So, staying in the punk pop scene, we'll talk about Sum 41. They have an album out this year, or, well, last year, depending on when you watch this. It's called Heaven X Hell, which, basically, it's a double album. So here you get like 20 tracks. So, disc 1 would be the Heaven disc. Disc 2 would be the Hell disc. So kind of more of a poppy disc on Heaven, more of a metal disc on Hell. And here again, they're kind of going back to their origins, their earlier stuff in this album. So it's sort of the same thing that Green Day did, but Sum 41 has announced that they will no longer do any more albums after this. They are done after this album. They might do some touring to promote it, and then that's it. They're done. But if you're talking about pop punk bands, I like them. I like these guys over Blink-182. It's just my opinion, you know. So then, we move on to another legendary band. These guys going back to the 70s, Judas Priest. And so this year they released their album, An Invisible Shield. And the breakout song to that would be Panic Attack, which is the first track on this. But yeah, it kind of brings you back to the old times too. Definitely recommend it. Recommend at least listening to it. Give it a chance. So, here's one that I'm surprised about for this year. Linkin Park. So yeah, this going back to the new metal era when Hybrid Theory came out right around 2000. Well, in 2000. It just came out of nowhere with that album. But, as you guys know, we don't condone deleting yourself. Unfortunately, that's what Chester Bennington did. After he had a very dismal album in 2017. And I guess he was just fighting demons. But anyhow, they brought in a new vocalist. So, in place of Chester Bennington, they brought in Emily Marsha Armstrong, who is from a band called Dead Sarah. I've never heard of them. But my stepdaughter showed me some of their new stuff that they did for this new album. And I didn't know what to expect. As far as the original stuff they did with her, surprisingly I like it. Honestly, it's good. They start off with the From Zero intro, and you got the Endless Time Machine. You got Heavy as a Crown, Over Each Other, Two-Faced. I mean, honestly, I think it's a damn good album, but here's the thing. When we were watching some live tracks with her on YouTube, and they were covering a lot of the old Linkin Park songs, too, and I almost feel like I almost got cover band vibes off of that. So, honestly, in my opinion, I feel like they should have changed the band name when they gained her as a member. You know, because, I mean, because one of their other members is, they only got two original members right now as the lineup stands right now. So, but I mean, all in all, this album it's really good. I definitely recommend it. Another good one it'd be Ace Frehley with 10,000 Volts, and of course his career going back over 50 years. He was one of the original members of Kiss, obviously, and 10,000 Volts released 50 years and 3 days after the first Kiss album, if that's hard to believe. But yeah, you got the title track, 10,000 Volts, that was a single to it. You got Cherry Medicine, Blinded, Up in the Sky, Walking on the Moon. Definitely a lot of good stuff here if you like the older school metal. Then moving on, we have Powerwolf, Wake Up the Wicked, and then Static X with Regeneration Volume 2, which is kind of a continuation of Regeneration Volume 1 that they released in 2020. Basically all that is just a bunch of like older material with Wayne Static that hadn't been released yet. It's sort of like the new metal industrial version of Tupac. But they also have a new vocalist, and they've been recording tracks, like other tracks for those albums as well. So it's sort of a mix of like Wayne Static's old work that was put away and some new stuff they just did. And of course, Slash, he's back at it. He released an album called Orgy of the Damned this year. And then we have Amaranth. So, going back to the European music scene here, their growler vocalist changed, and their last album, Manifest, I think was a big hit. I loved it. And definitely when they come out with Catalyst, they definitely didn't disappoint, that's for sure. Damnation Flame, I think, is probably the best track off of that one. Here's another one that goes way back. Good old Marilyn Manson. As you know, he was very controversial back in the 90s for his album Antichrist Superstar, and even Mechanical Animals. And then he just sort of faded into obscurity, but at the same time, he's still out there writing music, releasing material. So this year we end up with One Association Under God, Chapter 1, which leads me to the question, will there be a Chapter 2? He just released this album literally not even 2 months ago as I'm recording this. So, on this we got the single As Sick as the Secrets Within, Sacrilegious, Raise the Red Flag. So yeah, pretty good stuff there, especially if you're a Manson fan. And then another one that goes way, way back, this might surprise you, Deep Purple. That's right. Under the name Deep Purple, we had Shades of Deep Purple release all the way back in 1968, before the term hard rock was really a thing. So, of course, you know, they have their psychedelic era in the 60s, and then in the 70s, they were sort of developing into like hard rock / metal, sort of like Black Sabbath was. And then by the 80s, they sort of changed their sound a little bit to a more synthesizer sound. I wouldn't say not quite hair band sound, but it was a little more mellow than the 70s. And that was after their break whenever Rainbow had their stretch there back in the 70s with Ritchie Blackmore. But yeah, I mean, to listen to this album, they almost do sort of go back to the 70s on this. It kind of gives you that vibe again. So, I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, check out Equals One by Deep Purple. Okay, so another one, you could be Leaves' Eyes with Myths of Fate. You got Canada's Anvil with One and Only. And then we got Bring Me the Horizon with Posthuman Next Gen. And talk about a couple of EPs. This one going back to the hair bands. We got Motley Crue, who did a 3-song EP called Cancelled. So here, obviously, you got the title track Cancelled, Dogs of War. And then they end a 3-song set with a cover of Fight for Your Right by the Beastie Boys. Interesting. So then, the last one we're going to talk about here is Alestorm. Sort of a more modern band. They came out in probably like 08 or 09. You know, I wouldn't say they got mainstream popular, but they definitely gained a cult following in the 2010s. And here they released a 5-song EP called Voyage of the Dead Marauder. And so we have the title track. We have Uzbekistan, that's what it is. You have The Last Saskatchewan Pirate, Sea Shanty 2, and Cock. Why would you name a song Cock? I don't know. But yeah, just a little more to add to the pirate metal discography here. But Hellstorm, they're kind of one of those underground bands that I really like listening to. Definitely recommend them. But yeah, so coming up in 2025, what will we have? That's hard to tell. I do know, if you've ever heard of Dream Theater, I think they're supposed to have an album come out this coming year. I believe there's talks about Disturbed and Korn coming out with new albums this coming year, but nothing set in stone. It's all to be announced. I believe Bullet for My Valentine, they're set to release a new one this coming year, so yeah, keep your ear out. Keep your ear out for some good underground metal. You know, since rock is no longer really mainstream anymore, that's a shame. But yeah, mainly, I just wanted to say have a happy, safe New Year's, and depending on when you watch this, see you next year, see you this year, and lots more videos to come from the bar. Let's just say that the last binge we did, as of a week ago, of recording, yeah, I got trashed. You'll probably laugh there. Like I would say right around February or March when those videos start to drop, you'll be able to tell. Definitely stay tuned. And stay tuned for more All In, which will be coming up very shortly. We'll see ya.